Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chairman Sir, and the distinguished speakers and all my colleagues. It's really heartening to see such a huge crowd for a conference and that too post-lunch. So it is really interesting and I'm really looking forward to the interaction. And to be honest, I would like to say that I'm honored and privileged to have this opportunity to talk about what we are doing in the public library space. And as if I want to talk about what I'm going to discuss, I think the ground has been set from the morning sessions that we have been hearing about the need for having a uniform Public Libraries Act. So that is the context, and in fact I can start my presentation from the last slide, which is on the recommendation, that is we need to have a uniform Public Library Act in the country if we are looking at transforming public libraries in India. So I am going to talk about the process that we are involved in, because it is not something that we have completed. So I will talk about what is the context of what we are going to present here, about the needs assessment study that has been entrusted to us by BMGF, which one part of the study is the comparison of Public Libraries Act, which is underway, and we have not yet completed it. But since this conference was happening and there was an opportunity that the audience will be here, we wanted to share what has been accomplished and also what we are going to do, so that we could have inputs and have the opportunity to take learnings from the conference. So the comparison of the Public Libraries Act is going to look at primarily two things. One is the structure and the second is the funding mechanism. What are the emerging issues that we have learned from the interactions that we have held so far, and the recommendation. Just to briefly tell about Ipsos. Ipsos is a research organization. I represent the public affairs team, which is a global research organization across 85 countries. And we have been associated with BMGF's global library programs not only in India but other countries as well. And in India, we have been associated with BMGF's the pilot initiative since 2013, where we were identified as a research partners. We have conducted the baseline for the 9 libraries that received grants, and currently we are doing this needs assessment study, which I will be talking about it on the next slide. So the needs assessment, originally the plan was that we would do a midline study, but then based on the pilot learnings experience and BMGF's plan to scale up, the focus was changed, and we thought that a needs assessment study would be more apt to focus on 5 states, mainly with the objective of understanding the prevalent library structure as it is at the state level. And we have identified 5 states for this study, which is Bihar, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Also to understand what are the structural and the budget provisions across the states and the various types of grants that are available state-wise, and to understand what are the main priority areas of the libraries. So these are part of the objective. There are other objectives which I am not highlighting here because they are not in the context. So the comparative analysis of the Act that I'm going to discuss is based on 2 components. One is the review of the Public Libraries Act for the respective states, and second is some key informant interviews that we have been able to complete in last 2 weeks in New Delhi, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, representing both government and non-government stakeholders. And before I go to the next slide, I must admit that this was a very simple but yet a complex task. Why I say that? Because acts, as we all know, the minute anything legal or law comes to it, we think about complexity, and even simple things stated in complex language, which is hard to understand. And the second thing is the lack of uniformity that existed. So we started our exercise by reading the Public Libraries Act, talking to key informants, and what we have gained is mainly from the interaction that we had with the stakeholders in different states, which kind of put the Act in perspective for us to understand. Okay. So as earlier speaker, Dr. Banerjee has already highlighted, there are 19 states which have the Public Libraries Act in India. The 5 states that we were looking at had the acts passed at different points of time, with Tamil Nadu being the oldest or the earliest state that is passed the Public Libraries Act in 1948, and the latest one being in Bihar, which is 2008. So in terms of looking at the public library structure, one of the things that we were looking at whether how public libraries are managed in the state. So one key differentiating factor that emerges is that 3 states have a directorate of public libraries, which places the onus of planning, implementing, and anything to do with public libraries fall into the domain of Directorate of Public Libraries. So it is easier for the mechanism to work, and there is a proper mechanism, whereas in UP and Bihar, it is under different ministries or different departments which are taking either additional charge or extended charge. For like in Uttar Pradesh, the public libraries are under the secondary school department and have an officer on special duty who is managing the charge of public libraries. And in Bihar, public libraries are in the jurisdiction of State Library and Information Center Authority. In Kerala, the libraries came into being as a part of social, political, education and literacy movement. So as Dr. Banerjee rightly pointed out, in Kerala, the number of libraries are now more operating as a trust or a society and not part of the government mechanism. The next aspect of difference was the funding mechanism that exists for various states. So as we can see that Tamil Nadu and Kerala are 2 states where the Act has provision for collection of library cess. Library cess is nothing but it's a form of surcharge which is collected for any of the property tax. And in Tamil Nadu, most of the discussions that we had, it helped us understand that this mechanism of collecting library cess has really given an impetus and momentum to the public library mechanism, because fund was not cited, fund crunch or lack of resource was not cited as a major concern. Because when we ask what is the volume of library cess collected, it varies from 60 crores to 80 crores in Tamil Nadu, which is then diverted at the district level. So each district library officer actually collects this library cess from the corporation, and he has absolute freedom to decide or budget his activities for the district library. In Kerala, in addition to the library cess, the 1% of the education budget is also made available for the library strengthening, and there are other provisions as well in terms of state grants, contributions and other. In Uttar Pradesh, the mechanism of fund provision is not clearly outlined in the Act, but what we understand is that the state gives grants for the public libraries at the district level based on the budget that they need to submit. And what we have learned from our interaction in the past is that when the budget is prepared, usually in the government mechanism, it happens that if you over budget and if you are not utilizing the budget, the next year the budget automatically goes down. So you can't ask for the same amount or increased amount of budget, even if you have activities or resources planned to expand your activity. So it is always driven by what you have done in the last year. So the budget is linked to the activities or the budget of previous year. In Bihar, the amount is given by the state government as grants. RRLF grants is across all the states, District Development Fund, MP, MLA Fund and other funds and donation. And West Bengal, it is the local library authority maintains a library fund. Contributions, gifts and income from endowments are made to the local library authorities. So as we can see, just to sum up from this slide, there is a wide variation. And as I said that it was a complex task to draw these differences from the Act. It was only when you talk to stakeholders or people who are managing the public library program or initiative in the state that we understand that how these differences in the fund mechanism have affected the public libraries in the respective states. Some of the other aspects that we have learned so far, and as I said that this is not yet complete, the process has just begun, but one of the things that has been highlighted in our interaction is the grading of libraries in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, where the grading of the libraries from A to E keeps changing based on the rotation of the books and the users' enrollment. So this is an incentive because the grading is done, and if the librarian is proactively engaging or enrolling more users and the rotation of the books, the lending and the borrowing also increases, there is a provision for change of the grade from B to A and C to A. And interestingly, in Tamil Nadu, there is, it was also mentioned that when the grade changes, the resource allocation is also changing. That is, you can ask for more staff, you can get more provisions. In Tamil Nadu, there was also a mention of use of RRLF funds for capacity building and training of librarians, because as it has been mentioned that capacity building of librarians has been one of the issues, because there have been some states where training has not at all happened. So the RRLF grant has been useful for building, organizing seminars and training programs. There was also mention of monthly monitoring by DLO and library inspector. Monitoring and reporting is one aspect which is not very clearly highlighted in all the act, that how the monitoring will be done or how does the reporting happen. And as I said, one of the constraints that we faced is it is very difficult to even have details of how many public libraries and how many staff in the state. There are also guidelines for opening new libraries and opening of libraries in other public aggregation places such as hospitals, passport offices. For example, Tamil Nadu has just 5 criteria. If those 5 criteria are met, any organization or institution can apply to start a public library and then start carrying out the activities. And they have used like out of the box thinking, or maybe not the conventional ways where libraries can be started, but passport office, which is a place where a lot of people wait, or hospitals where in the reception area the libraries have been initiated. So these are some of the learnings that can be utilized when we are looking at Uniform Public Library Act across the country, and see what are the things which have worked, which can be integrated into the act. So just to summarize that, as you can see, there is lack of uniformity, and there is a need to capitalize the existing infrastructure, because in each district there is supposed to be a district public library which exists. There is human resource, there is capacity. It is only a need to drive this with a proper vision and help use public library as a platform to transform our society into a knowledge society. And like I said, I could end this slide with my recommendation. So we need to champion the cause of Uniform Public Libraries Act that would lend a huge impetus to our efforts, or the movement that we are talking about since beginning. Yeah, and yeah, thank you.